Hi everyone, this is LAR Games, and today I'm watching, well, something that I really wasn't planning on watching, but due to some circumstances, I decided to make an exception and just watch a single episode of this. It was actually a patron request, but at the same time, not really, because, like I said, it's an exception. So I'm doing just one episode of this, and that's it until maybe some other, when it becomes time to do it for real, I guess. It's hard to explain because this is really not something I would usually do. And actually, because of this, I'm actually thinking of like changing the way I do Patreon stuff in the first place, because I've realized that, the way that I'm doing it, if there ever comes a time where I ever get more than like 2 new patrons at once, there's going to start being like a really long kind of like waiting list for people who kind of already like requested stuff, and I now have that on a list of things to do. So I feel like that could get pretty out of hand quickly. So yeah, that's leading me to kind of rethink the whole how I do Patreon requests. I still want to keep it as like worth it as possible, but the way that I'm thinking of doing it in the future is going to be more like it'll be worth it to stay a patron rather than be extremely valuable to people who, just begin with the Patreon thing. Kind of even it out more. Because currently, if you're a new patron, the next Patreon show that I'm going to do is going to be your show that you suggest, depending on your tier. But that means there's not really too much reason to stay a patron, unless I don't get any new patrons for long enough that I don't have anything else to watch. So then I make a poll. And that's when, current patrons can continue to suggest shows, but in a way that I could put those suggestions on the poll, and that'll be the next thing I watch. And I've done that a couple of times due to the fact that I haven't exactly grown very much in terms of channel popularity due to many, many reasons, but mostly YouTube sucks. So that hasn't really been too much of a problem so far, since I always had like at least one new patron every once in a while, and then in between those I could do like current patron polls. But yeah, I'm just thinking like in the future that's going to be really difficult to handle. So what I'm thinking of doing is basically making 2 Patreon slots and having both of those be current Patreon polls. So patrons will be able to suggest shows to put on the poll, like I've always done when there's no new patrons. And new patrons, there won't be like sort of like, okay, I gave you this amount of money, so that's the next thing you got to do, because that's what's causing or would cause the really difficult to handle like waiting list to happen. So every time I'll finish a show, I'll just start up a new poll for current patrons, and they can add shows to that, and then there'll always be a chance for a current patron to have me watch a new show they want me to watch infinitely. So I think that's a good thing, and also it gives people a chance to, like even people who aren't patrons to be able to influence that somewhat, since you can vote on, since anyone can vote on those. It's just that the patrons are the ones that are able to suggest the shows to go on the poll. So that's what I think I'm going to go with in the future. And yeah, this show was a catalyst for that. So, going back to talking about the actual thing I'm going to react to. Yeah, so I have no idea what the show is about. I only know its name. I don't know if it's fantasy. I don't know who the main characters would be. I don't know what anyone looks like. All I've seen so far, I haven't even made the thumbnail yet. All I've seen so far is what the logo looks like, the title, the styled title logo thing. And that's about it. It looks kind of creepy, sort of. Looks like ghosty, so I don't know if that's gonna come into play at all. You know, that motif. I feel like usually a show has a matching title to go with it, visually. So, yeah. So first thing we can see here is Latin, maybe, I think. I don't know. Kind of looks like it. Maybe Italian. I really can't read it. So, I mean, Italian, usually I can sort of tell what they're saying. Maybe the last line would say, like, I don't know, but don't hate me or something like that. I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, let's just see what this show has in store for me. And once again, there's an exception. Not doing this again. Just one episode of something, because it's kind of difficult for me to handle. But yeah, let's do it. So it's sci-fi. Oh, those are tall ladies. I haven't seen science fiction in quite a long time. A science fiction show. Oh. The SCP's gotten out. That does seem like a reaction. If you didn't consider that a reaction, I'd be pretty shocked. Oh, 24-hour time. The style kind of reminds me of Steins Gate a bit. A little bit. In Steins Gate, they do tend to have like different eyes. Oh, it's like the future. All right. No, you shouldn't have gone anywhere if you didn't feel well. And was he driving a llama with wheels? That's what it looked like. Very cryptic so far. Yep, that's what I've seen before. Wow, wow. Oh, Matrixy. And this is really different from what I usually watch. I haven't seen something like this in a long time. I don't know if I should comment on that advertisement or whatever it was. Make waste. So, I assume this is what the really tall ladies in the first scene look like underneath their whatever they were wearing. Well, it is quite a different world uh, for Mars. Oh, this kind of reminds me of Prey a little bit. Prey 2, the original Prey 2. It's very clear that this time is very dystopic. I have no idea what's going on. Ah, um, so maybe there's like mutants. Maybe it's not a big a problem with the like richer people, maybe that live higher up, which is what I would usually think. Oh, they have touchscreens. I wonder when this was made. It is in 16 by 9 aspect ratio, so I'm pretty sure that was, after touchscreens were already like a big thing. Oh, she went crazy with the eyeshadow. Turing application. Yeah, clearly. Everyone's really happy. All right. Well, usually that's the case with these types of dystopias. Seems a lot is happening though. Too much for you to call it boring. Then again, you look like you're one of the rich people, so you probably don't see too much happen compared to like poorer ones. Is that Hitler? So it seems these sort of I want to call them maybe artificial humans or something. That's what they seem like to me. Maybe they don't seem like they're considered second class citizens since she is, considering how she's talking to him. I think she's one of them. I don't know. Maybe she's not tall enough. I don't rave. So are they robots? Hippocampus files, so maybe they're hybrids or something. Or maybe they just named that part after, the part of the brain. It is difficult to differentiate right now because they keep using words like die and hippocampus, something very much biological, instead of saying things like shut down and like memory circuit. It's a nerve file now. It's like I mean, maybe it's sort of like in Fallout 4 where, the synths were created like sort of in a biological way, but weren't really biological. He's just casually talking to Hitler. So I guess she's going to be the main character. So many characters and things I have no idea of. Really hard to follow. Wow, he's got some hair. All right, so it's pretty much confirmed that they're, not actual, like, it's not a race or anything. It's just their assistants. They're artificial. Despite, how they talk and refer to them as. Now I'm getting iRobot vibes. She smell, I was gonna say smell with. I meant Will Smith. Thank you, brain, for switching those two letters. Um, yeah, this kind of seems like iRobot. Gaining self awareness, except they don't look as robotic as an iRobot. Of course, people would use them for that, but why not have a more human appearance on them? That is a better looking one I've seen so far, to be honest. Oh, there's that thing that was being experimented on. That moved incredibly strangely. It was falling from the air and then it somehow went out the window without touching the ground. They mentioned praying before, so you can tell they're infected when they pray. Oh, was that the one in the guy's room? Oh, yep, okay. Similar to Fallout. They replicate the like muscle fibers and uh blood vessels and stuff, but it's synthetically. So I assume that one they were experimenting on in the beginning, the big one, and who had a reaction. Um Seems to be like an extension of whatever they're doing here. You know, an artificial, an android, Oh, that's weird. Oh, has anyone ever seen Bicentennial Man? It kind of reminds me of that. It does remind me of a whole bunch of different things that I that I used to really like. Bicentennial Man was one of my favorite movies. Well, that's really creepy. So I wonder if people don't have pets that much anymore, since you could kind of have like, if you want a replacement for a kid, you just get like a robot that acts like a kid or something. That was unsettling. Please don't move again. Oh, they're moving. Kill or shut down? Like, I kind of feel like if you're gonna say that you're killing these androids, then you're probably already fully considering them, alive. Ergo, well, I just thought of the Matrix again. Not the good part of the Matrix, but kind of like the grimy, like locations remind me of the Matrix 2 when they're in the Matrix a lot of the time, in the city. So he's kind of her leash. I do wonder about, their choice in aesthetics when it comes to creating these androids. Like, who the heck would want one that looks like as creepy as they do? Really should open your eyes while you're walking outside. So, if we're going by what happened in iRobot, it's very likely that the big cause of everything here is actually like whatever sort of AI is linking all of them together, maybe. I don't think it's going to go that way, but that's how it went in the movie. Spoilers for the movie, I guess. I forgot when it came out, but it was so many years ago. I was still like a little kid. It is kind of funny to have a robot whispering in your ear. iRobot 2 started with the murder of a person by an AI or an android. And it appears these sort of things are happening here too. But instead of, Will Smith, it's a very angsty anime girl. Oh, it's the llama person again, maybe. The one riding the llama on wheels. Shower scene, maybe? Oh, yeah. Okay, so he's the one that rode the llama. So he collapsed, right? Oh. Nope, just stop. Then again, she's a bit big. Awakening? Is that what that said? Is it the same thing again? Oh, yep, there it is. Oh, wait, it's not the same thing. They look kind of similar. Well, I mean, it's not like they showed a lot of detail in the first place. I just knew it was like, it just had like long hair and was creepy. And they both have that. There's a whole lot of confusion. I'm not going to see what happens after the credits because I feel like it's probably just going to be a preview or something. But that was incredibly different from what I usually watch. I tend to prefer, more lighthearted stuff, comedies, romantic comedies. Just, I don't know. But the science fiction aspect of this does intrigue me since I've always liked science fiction. I've kind of moved away from that in recent years. Because, I don't know, I just tend to find these days that I just want to, relax and enjoy, have a more lighthearted experience when consuming content, I guess. I just like to laugh more. But this does have a lot of things that make me, kind of, it's almost nostalgic in a sense. Because this was the kind of stuff that I used to really be into, science fiction wise. In terms of the character designs, I really don't know how I feel about them. They all look just really weird. Uh, I don't know if it's going to be sort of like a two protagonist sort of thing between her and the balding looking guy, or if it's just going to be her with Will Smith style the whole time, with just him being the equivalent of the scientist lady in iRobot. I mean, they were love interests in that, but I don't know how that's going to go here. Um, he was the first one that they showed in the show that we've kept seeing. So maybe he's probably going to be showing up a lot more. He woke up and then I guess he was going to work and then had an accident, but I don't know if they went back to that or not because there was a lot to take in this episode. Nothing was being explained. There was no real setup for anything. Everything was mostly just, it was kind of shown in a way oh, this is just another day in this increasingly problematic situation. There was also way too many characters all at once. It was very difficult to kind of internalize everyone that I saw. So the only ones I could remember for now are the balding guy and the main girl. And I don't know, I already forgot what the assistant robot looked like, but I don't think that's going to matter too much. Because I know that he exists, so I guess it's fine. It doesn't really matter how he looks like at the moment. It's clear that from what they showed, this society is overly reliant on these artificial humans. But that's typically the case with dystopias. They're usually over-reliant on something. Something has gone extremely obsessive. There's, usually always the lack of resources, natural resources they need. So that tends to create a big gap between the rich and the poor. And I kind of felt from what I saw, that there was a big divide between not only the rich and poor, but, in terms of hierarchy, it seems to me like it might be both physical and metaphorical, as in poorer people would live down below. Because that's where, it showed a shot where where we were zooming in past all the different levels, and we're going down further and further from the sparkling, well, not really sparkly, but the light. It was getting darker and darker as you went below, and that's where somebody was being attacked. I forgot exactly what it was at this point. But yeah, there seems to be a lot going on, and there definitely was a lot going on in this first episode. So It's hard to know when I think of it. In terms of the tone, I did mention before I prefer lighter-hearted stuff, but I feel like the intrigue in this might kind of offset that. Maybe. I also tend to usually prefer male protagonists because, I don't know, it's just easier to... Well, since it's not a romance, I don't think it'll really matter. Because I really like Saga of Tanya the Evil. That one's great. I mean, you can argue that that's a male protagonist, but... yeah, I remember also people getting pretty mad at me when I said something similar in the very first... the episode 0 of Fate Unlimited Blade Works. Because I thought Reen was going to be the main character, and I was like, I don't know about this. But, yeah, this is a very interesting first episode, but this kind of does really, 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 really kind of implore you to watch the next one to kind of expand more upon things. But considering the things that I do have, higher priority, it's going to be pretty much impossible until somebody, at some point, I actually do get to watch this as a full Patreon reaction. Or maybe, like, I don't know, I'll watch it on my own, but I definitely wouldn't because I usually don't, unless I think the reaction is not going to be worth it, but that's rarely the case. I tend to react to everything that I watch, so... So, let's see, what do I think of this overall? I think it seems like there are interesting things happening. A lot of things do have me curious. The plot so far seems to me like it's fairly kind of straightforward in terms of, what I saw. Basically, people used robots everywhere. These robots are gaining sentience, and now they're killing people. Not many, I think. I don't think there was many. The type of sign that you could see that they're kind of infected by whatever this is, infected by sentience, I guess, is that they seem to be praying. So somehow they got it in their intelligence that they need to pray for something. So kind of showing that they, that they have true intelligences and being able to have something other than just calculation, as in faith. I'm not really a religious person or anything, but it does seem to me like wanting to pray to something, wanting to blame things on something is a very human emotion. Something goes wrong in your life and you're like, oh God, this sucks. I need something to blame this on. In most of human history so far, there would be like gods that you could blame something onto. I was actually watching a Fate Grand Order reaction again, the Babylonia one, and the reason that comes up to me is that Ereshkigal, one of the best characters in Fate, gosh, she's so freaking adorable. But yeah, she was right when she said that. Humans do kind of really psychologically need something to blame their daily lives' unfortunate events on. And in the Age of Gods, they could just blame the gods, because you usually do blame things on things you don't understand. And the thing with the gods is that they shouldered that responsibility of receiving that blame. But as time passes and humans learn more and more about the universe and know, they become more logical in a way. Those kinds of emotions they're kind of redirected somewhere else. So even in my case, going back to Ereshkigal again, like if I made a video a long time ago of me rolling for her in Fate Grand Order, I've always blamed the fact that I have terrible luck on, well, luck, even though it's just normal probability, and I'm just unlucky so far. But it still went well within, what probability is. But I just need something to blame, so I blame, my luck sucks. Luck hates me. The game hates me. And when rolling, you pray that you're going to get something good. Or when something bad is happening in your life, you just hope, please, please let things go better. Let things get better. And that shows that, you're more complex than just something that calculates numbers. And I do find that it is a pretty interesting way to show how AI are becoming self-aware. So, yeah, that was an interesting kind of choice in terms of showing the change. So if I was watching this, if I decided to watch this on a whim, on my own, if I wasn't a person that did reactions anymore, I don't know if I would watch the whole thing, but I definitely would watch the next episode just to clear things up a bit. And if that didn't, because I usually don't like dropping things in the first place, but like if I really wasn't enjoying it whatsoever, if I didn't see anything that made me want to keep watching, I probably would have just moved on to something else. Not that I would hate it or anything. It's just that I would be like, you know what? I would rather watch something that'll make me laugh instead. But if it was a Patreon reaction, I would stick through it to the end, definitely. Even though, on my own, I would probably stick through it to the end just because I have a thing with, I don't like dropping things, even when I was watching things on my own. But it's just it's not the type of thing that I would like read the description for, probably, or read the tags and be like, that's the next thing I'm going to watch. Because when I look for something new to watch, I usually look for certain things like comedy or like harem shows, because they're usually really lighthearted. And when they're not, like Grisaya, oh god, that was not enjoyable overall because of the tone. So I don't know, this might kind of be like Steins Gate, where by the end I think, you know what, this was absolutely amazing because of how it ended. Steins Gate is one of the shows that I have rated at 10. Very, very few shows. And it's not within my usual tone of, anime. Though it does have some lighthearted moments, which I really do appreciate it. And you really grow to love the characters. But in this series, I still haven't seen any characters that I would feel like, oh, you know what? I love that character. I'm already attached to them. Because so far, there's only like the gloomy detective sort of girl that I'm not really, I have no connection to her whatsoever. There's nothing that makes me relate to her in any way. So I'm not like, oh, if anything happens to her, I would be upset. So if she had died right there, I would be like, oh, that character died. All right. So before, terrible things happen to a character, I usually like to have an emotional connection to them. And that's much easier for me when a lot of the time before whatever happened, I have spent good times with them. I've seen them enjoy themselves. I've seen their likes and happiness, and I don't want that to be broken. And shows that usually start off with a very, I'm going to call it like edgy, but don't really take it as that, a more dark tone and horrible things happening right at the start. There's nothing for me to be attached to. I can't be like, oh my god, I can be like, oh my god, that sucks, but I won't feel the thing, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, this was a very interesting thing to watch. And hopefully my reaction to the single episode was worth it. And you did get a lot more thoughts out of this than most other videos. That's definitely true, because usually when I have mixed feelings about something, I guess I have a lot more to say. But yeah, I think I'm going to end it here. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my reaction to the first episode of Ergo Proxy. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.